I was.
Oh, sorry.
You read my mind, Atlas. I was gonna go there, but you went there before I did. So yeah, Volibear. I think that is a pick that, even though it hasn't been shown yet, T1 knows that we can go. But you know my opinion on leaving open Seraphine.
Yep. Looks like
fan.
we've got a tied series. Let's go. No, look, I don't think it's 100% over just yet. I think that Sulka's Seraphine has been up or down. You know, I think that there is not necessarily all that much skill expression when it comes to Seraphine, but we have seen her either look completely impossible to deal with, but she's also lost, right? So let's see what T1 do have as far as their plan. Varus just going to be locked in immediately.
Wow, that is an interesting, and I gotta imagine it's gonna be Serpent's Fang Varus. This has got to be lethality Varus. I don't want to see no lethal tempo coming into this game. Although we have seen a variation of Varus where they go for lethal tempo but still build lethality because it gives you the ability to kind of swap later in the game, which I think is really interesting.
That was actually that was Deft.
It was Deft, yeah.
When he debuted the Varus this season.
Yeah,
he did do that,
and it's nice. T1 are just going for a run back, and while it's not exactly the same draft, with the Nidalee, you know what's coming. It's going to be something like a Volibear, maybe it will be a Camille, but something that can actually get on top of this Gnar, lock him down, blow him up in squishy form, and presumably something similar from the top side. The key thing here about the Varus is that if we can get Teddy ahead, then a big problem of the Seraphine kind of becomes null, because if you just blow up people before they get the opportunity to be healed up, you're like, yeah, sure, that works. And as you already pointed out, and I think it's really important to note, yes, Serpent's Fang is really strong, but it's an awkward item to build for a lot of crit AD carries, because it doesn't really slot into your build, as well as previously the Collector did, which also was a lethality item, but had crit on it, so you still hit your 100% crit mark a lot earlier. But Varus, especially lethality Varus, will have no such qualms, and starting to look like T1 is actually going for an aggressive poke composition, which is basically a flip from last game, because the DRX comp, they want a group. This is a tasty Silas angle, though. It's some good ults on the opposing team.
And it is also something that can go towards the top side as well. Still a fair bit of flexibility here on T1's side. If they would like to go there, the Lucian is going to be banned away, as it's an interesting ban, to be perfectly honest. This is T1 assuming that DRX could still potentially flex, just because Lucian, especially picked alongside Lilia, is a mid lane option. It's not like they're banning away bottom lane Lucian, so they're expecting the Seraphine to either go into the AD carry position or into support. Thank you, Reckless, for forcing me to say that. As Tahm Kench going to be taken away from carrier, and this is something we've seen alongside the Varus.
100% the right call. I think that normally you'd be like, you know, Tahm Kench might be played, but it's carrier. He's got multiple POGs on it. Just don't let him have it.
Yeah.
It's just not okay. And Varus, one of his weaknesses is, of course, that he is immobile. Yes, he has some form of defense in his ultimate, but as a whole, he pairs well with things like the Fresh that can both set him up and defend him, or the Tahm Kench, whose setup is not as strong, but very clearly is able to kind of keep him safe. Interestingly enough, this might be like a situation where T1 you're thinking about now picking up the Braum yourself, just for like the sheer amount of safety that it can provide for your carry. And if DRX find a little bit more backline dive, if they find an aggressive support here to go with what is already a pretty threatening type of death ball composition, as not as much peel, but a lot of offensive setup for Nidalee and for the Varus ultimates. And T1, this is looking similar, where they go for a draft that says we go in and either we win immediately or it's over.
Yeah, and the other option here for carrier was just running back the Leona once again. I think that could have been a little bit more of a slightly more defensive option if you would like to. However, both of these supports just go in and most of the time die. As here is the Xayah, locked away for Bao. Definitely a defensive choice here, as it's just going to be the Lovers duo there on the bottom side. And now let's see where Can is going to go, or whether T1 have something strange planned for us.
The DRX comp doesn't have traditional frontline, it just has a Gnar, but the combo, the wombo combo of a Gnar, Seraphine, and Rakan is disgusting. That's not okay, Atlas. That is not fun to play against. And
this is rough, actually.
Yeah,
I was actually going to praise DRX for locking in the Gnar because Seraphine Scion is free win territory, right? Like that is just very scary. However, Gnar does very well into Scion in the lane, but what T1 have done, they've gone and just picked the Scion into the Gnar anyway without having the Seraphine payoff on top of it. This is going to give them, you know, a big burly guy, does give T1 a lot more options when it comes to team fighting, and even having Faker on Silas, he's going to be able to run around that front line alongside the Scion and cause a ruckus. But it is definitely a very different feel on this side, and I'm not sure how I feel about it.
The thing for T1 is that whether or not this is successful, in my opinion, hinges on two things. One, can Kana stay alive and do well versus not with no attention whatsoever? Because that's angle two. I think Cuz is super enabled by the mid and bot side, because Teddy and Carrier will have perma prior, right? Varus is an incredibly strong lane, and the Fatality Varus even more so. And Silas, while his laning phase and straight up head-to-head aren't great, and engaging onto a Solka with beat drop is a little bit awkward, the skirmishing, the setup, and the pressure that should come out from that duo, combined with a Rel that can possibly roam, is insane. So basically T1 need to leave Kana alone, snowball the rest of the map, and then you're gonna be fine. But then if you look at the late game, if you don't outright stomp, this is like an Exodia level comp. Okay, the Gnar is a little bit, you know, he's a little bit conditional, but everything else, like, come on, Atlas, that is not,
yeah, it's definitely tough. And yes, they will get outranged. I think the poke advantage is once again like on the red side of the rift, right? However, there is dive options. They have the quickness. They have all of the defense available for Azire as well. I actually completely agree with you. When it comes to, you know, getting a death ball and having it work, the AoE, CC, all of the options here are for DRX, plus they have Seraphine.
Because T1's fights late game, unless, again, Teddy and Cuz get, like, monstrously fat and you just blow people up, what's going to happen is you're going to want a front-to-back team fight. The sign really, like, basically forces you into that. If you would have gone for a Camille, you have a completely different draft where you can try to go for 4-1, poke a little bit, hang back, have your Camille skill up in the side lane and try to go from there. Instead, you kind of want a team fight later now because that's where Sign gets the most value, but you're going to have a Silas who wants to dive into the enemy backline. You're going to have a Nidalee who outside of the spears kind of want to jump in, and you're jumping into a Xayah with Clench and Feather Storm and a Seraphine.
Yeah.
That's not good, Atlas, and I feel like this is a repeat of game number 1 where if T1 win this, which I can still see happen after that first game,
This is what's really hard.
Yes.
Veronica, I agree. Because even in game number 1, we had the same problem where we're like, DRX have a really good draft. Is Faker going to find himself a bit of a trade? He actually walks past and nice spots out Pyoshik as well. Just, hey, what's going on in here? Successful, as Becca's standing on a ward. And let's just see how everything does go. I do find it very difficult because T1 they manage to find victories with these drafts that do make people a little bit upset. You know, sometimes they shouldn't win, but they do because they understand that even though the win conditions are narrow, they can hit them.
And it's something that Damwon Kia does insanely well, but Damwon Kia's drafts
are also really good.
Yeah, so that's a big difference, because at Damwon Kia, you're always like, wow, not only is this draft really good, but even if they do get into a deficit, they can just win. Whereas T1, it feels like they just need to outmuscle their opponent. And why do you do this, T1? You don't need to put yourself in a position where you need to, like, stomp the enemy. Because yes, you can do it, but what if you don't?
It's real rough. Yeah. It is definitely real rough. Is level 2 going to be gained here by Bao and Becca. Teddy and Carrier already having theirs. Carrier not exactly going to have the greatest of times here in this lane, in theory.
We also...
he's just pretty hopelessly melon.
We also have double longsword starts here for both AD carriers, which I think is interesting, not opting into what you normally see, which would be a Doran's Blade. And for Teddy, it makes a lot of sense because you can go for a tier first on the Fatality Varus, but it really...
Pod, I was expecting to.
Both are fine. I personally like the tier because it does give you a lot of early potential to like really shove the wave, just use your mana as a resource in that regard. Yep. But it does mean that until you're first back, your Qs just kind of tickle, and that makes you sad because you want to blow people up. Oh, early angle from Cuz here.
Yeah, looking to try and go aggressive. Is going to wrap all the way around. You can see Bao and Becca not getting wind of this just yet as the crashdown comes through. Carrier with a really nice stun spear, not going to connect, but Bao still taking a lot of damage. The empowered pounce and the ignite going to come in, but the answering kill is there for Bao, as that is some feathers from the grave, picking up a follow-up kill.
And it goes to Bao. It doesn't go to Becca.
Oh, beat drop is going to connect here as Faker gonna have to watch out. Doesn't say eat just yet as the bowling ball will connect eventually. But Faker not having to flash, he'll be absolutely fine.
Not super happy, but with Soka's mana bar already expanded and the general lack of kill threat from Seraphine, it's not the worst. But the fact that Becca doesn't get the kill there with his ignite, but it actually goes to Bao, as you said, feathers from the grave, means that that's actually way better, right? Because yes, a kill goes to Cuz, that's nice, but he died. That's time that he didn't spend farming. He will be on the ward, so there's no way that Soka should ever die here, which he won't, so that's good.
Yep.
But means Pioshik was able to just keep going. Yes, he ganked, but he still was able to find a lead. I think he might have gone for the topside Skydolin as well, just find a full clear. So now you have a lead on that. Topside is going great. And if that spear connects, none of this is an issue.
Yeah, that's the trouble, right? And it's a good cleanse out of Desire. That's why it actually missed in the end. So shout outs to Bao there for being able to reposition and not allow that free spear.
One upside is that with Flash Gun on Xayah, if T1 hits level 6 earlier, you can just you kill Xayah. Like, it's just a free all-in. There's no cleanse, there's no flash, and you just jump on top of him, you throw your ultimates, and then you're basically good to go.
Varus presses WQ and then say goodbye to half of your health bar.
Oh yeah.
I guess how it works. Kingen up here just continuing to get the shove onto the Scion, who is behind, but we of course expect it. Carrier looking to try and get some control back as Teddy wants to stop the Rel from being denied and will be successful in that one. Carrier can crash down as well. He's going to flash on in. You were talking about the lack of flash. Certainly going to be important as Faker finds the abscond, but able to body block is Becca, so Bao will survive this time.
Defensive play has been super good from DRX. Every time that T1 go for a big play, you see the defensive Rakan play, making it so much harder to actually execute well on the play. Soka's ultimate.
Yeah, does actually find it here onto Faker. The beat drop's going to connect as well, and Faker, you can't Kingslayer enough out of that one. The watch out Eve is not going to be watched out of, and Pioshik will be able to grab that one. Second kill for DRX, who have started off very well. And this is now Solka being able to get plates for his Seraphine, looking to try and power towards that Moonstone. This is frightening if you're a T1 fan.
Remember what we said about T1 kind of having to win early on the bot side and mid?
Yeah.
It's not going super well, Atlas.
Look,
Teddy has a lead, okay? So that's
that.
nice, but that is also it.
And look, Teddy has a lead because he stayed alive, right? Bao didn't get so lucky as Carrier going to find the Attract Repel stump. There's the flash on in from Pioshik. It's a very sleepy Rel, and they're looking to try and take her down. No flash available. Becca secures it. Now 3-1 in favor of DRX, and this bottom side that you said needed to win, still not winning for T1.
And I'd like to cast your mind back, because Pioshik was one of the first junglers to actually pick up the Lilia. Even last year, when Lilia was just released, it actually took a while for the pro scene and people at large to catch on at how strong this champion really could be. Yeah. And Pioshik was one of the very few that was always happy to pick it up. Fake, you're not level 6 yet.
Yeah, he's 2 levels behind, in fact.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you die in the river, it is a pretty unfortunate situation, but still, he's looking for it. 2 levels down, finds level 6 here. And remember, Silas into Seraphine was a thing, right? Like, this was considered one of the answers because Encore is ridiculous. And so now both sides have an Encore in theory. So Solka is now in a lot more trouble because Faker, it's not just the abscond that you have to watch out for. He also now has a potential hijacked Encore, which is a bother.
The real question is, do you go moon stuff now on Faker? Because you can use the Encore, you can use it so well.
Well, the train is going to come on through here. The flash is going to have to come out, but the damage still connects. Kingen has Mega, and Pioshik is in the area. As Spear going to go wide one more time, Cuz is going to be able to take down that ward. It's replaced immediately. As, okay, Attract Repel is going to 100% deny Becca. That was it feels bad. Still, this bottom lane absolutely fine on DRX's side. And Cuz looking for this early Herald. Gonna have to pounce out of the pit though, as Pioshik says, thanks very much for the leash. As Solka's gonna move on over as well, sidesteps very nicely. The spear.
Faker didn't level his ult.
Oh.
I was wondering why he didn't go for... I thought he was holding it, because he went for the trade aggressively on Solka, and Solka was low. And I thought that he was...
Now he has ult.
Well, yeah.
I mean, yes, now he has ult.
That's
You saw nothing. We saw nothing. He's,
no, but that's a big problem. Because if Solka dies there, the entire course of the game can look differently. And I don't know 100% if he would have, but he would have definitely had to flash the Encore. And he possibly could have died. And instead...
And then also
Herald.
you lose control of the river, theoretically, because you can't move up as far without your flash.
And now it's
there's a flow-on effect, yeah.
And this creates a situation in which DRX are just going to be able to extend this gold lead further. This is not a comp from T1 that is going to win late. Yes, you have a front line. Cool. Yeah, you're playing into what we currently perceive as the strongest team fighting champion in the entire game. Of course, other regions have different thoughts on that, but we're within the LCK. I think we can safely say that there is no champion as strong as Seraphine. Surely Teddy will be building towards the Serpent's Fang, otherwise I don't know why the extremely early prio on the Varus to come through here, but it's not looking clean from T1. And playing this even after last game of it, sure, you can make it work somehow. I don't know how T1, but you find an angle. But if you actually fall behind,
it is definitely dangerous. Faker only behind 8 CS. As you remember, you know, you can see that he still does have a level deficit here in this mid lane after that early death, but hasn't costed him too much money. As Faker just sitting on this Encore. Might need to use it relatively soon, not entirely sure when he hijacked it. But now I'm just going to be able to pick up this farm. The wave clear on the Sylas starting to level up, as we can see. Wants to get towards that Everfrost as soon as possible. As here on the top side, bit of a battle as Canna not going to get pushed into turret range, but does have to flash the bowling ball. Cuz in the area. DRX immediately know that by the movement. Sion had a friend, and Sylas also disappearing from the map. Going to mean that things are pretty scary if they wanted to go up for a follow through. But as you can see, DRX ahead in every lane. It's close to a 3,000 gold lead for this squad. This game going even better than the early game of game one, and that was also very good.
The more I think about it, the more I like the Zyrakan as well, because they provide you with a lot of threat. Faker.
Yep, Becker is actually rotating in. The Encore just going to 100% miss. As Cuz looking for it one more time. Very dead is the Gnar, as Faker's just going to teleport out. Says goodbye to everyone, and now he's backing on the top side of the... That's
a heist.
Yeah,
that's a successful one, as the top side play works out.
Canna can just, like, chill up here. There's no teleport for King to get back into this lane, and so the Sion's going to be feeling a whole lot better. He's got the Still Soul Summoners as well in the Ignite and Heal. If you don't understand that, that's a reference to a player from, like, Season 1. So shout-outs to those of you who have been playing for an extraordinarily long time and watched a lot of Dyrus's stream back in the day.
I don't know that reference, and I've watched a lot of League, man.
Yeah, I was realizing that was... He used to just play Vladimir and always take Heal Ignite. That was what he did every time.
Capitalization here of the lack of flash that was forced earlier. Nice drift by Kana. Sign is not traditionally you think of as good setup for mid lane, but it works. Yeah, it gets the job done. And these kind of moments are the reason why, even though on paper this match should not be really easy for T1. I still don't think it will be easy, but I do think they still have a shot, which in of itself is crazy because, as I was trying to say earlier before...
Ow! Yeah, one more of them, he's dead.
Yeah, if he gets hit by... Yeah, okay, well, T1 hit the spike, so maybe we were just a bit premature. Gonna try and make it work now. However, Elder's gonna come up here.
Yep. Faker actually avoiding a lot of Solka's poke as well. Certainly works out. Canna just gonna try and absorb to the best of his ability. And does so. He's gonna lose the turret, but Teddy's still zoning Bao and Becker away from this one. And Faker now has a bit of a free lane. Solka went back to base as Bao once again soaking spears. And this is actually what can turn this, right? If T1's poke actually lands, then DRX's comp isn't necessarily going to work unless Seraphine is there healing everyone all the way back up again. So maybe late game it's going to be absolutely fine. But right now, it's good.
Even then, just the heal from Rakan and the synergy that those two have. Guardian is still up. This is not an easy dive for T1. Featherstorm, Cleanse, all available.
Well, there's a chain of corruption as the Crashdown says goodbye to the Rakan. You said it's...
What?
Did that look difficult? It just didn't look that difficult to me, I'm not going to lie. As now Faker finds a Featherstorm. He'll be able to answer Bao, but not before he kills him. Throws that one out. The Feathers go a little bit further away, but he can't recall them anyway, so he doesn't even mind, as that's a big old Gnar into the wall. But you can see this, he does manage to grab the kill on the cannon, but now that's a very angry zombie that's looking for him, and Faker will pick this one up. I don't know how they do it, Chronicler, but T1, they found this mid-game skirmish. And let's see whether this can help them snowball.
They still don't have a gold lead. That's how bad the game was going. Oh, and this is a necessary play for T1 because you lose that topside turret. You've so much gold gets funneled into DRX's pockets. And I took, yeah, you've Cleanse and Featherstorm available. Sure.
Fade away chains of corruption, by the way.
Yeah. Becca doesn't have those things. So Becca gets locked down with a really nice play from Teddy. And then going in here, you know, if it works, it works. It's a bit aggressive. Kana knows he's going to die at the moment that he goes for that play. Kingen is able to, at the very least, pick up a kill on the sign, but pays for it with his own life. So in the end, it's a 3-for-1 trade, which you're happy with as T1. Pioshik shutting out mid lane, nowhere near that play. But how, to what extent actually, like, makes this the game easier for you as T1, and that's a rough one because yes, Faker and Teddy are getting fed, but I feel like they're now starting to build a gold lead. If they can do this 2 more times, then I'm okay. Okay, T1, you got me convinced. But
I also think that DRX, if they had the same deficit as T1, we'd be having very different conversations, right? Because this is Seraphine moving towards a late game with an AD carry that's very self-sufficient, able to build crit.
Oh yeah.
Like, this is pretty ridiculous when it comes to scaling, and DRX already have an advantage. So you're talking about not being out of the woods. I'm saying that T1 needs to continue to push this extraordinarily hard. I absolutely agree.
They do. Just keep killing them. Get 10 kills on my man Teddy. He needs to like one-tap everyone, and so does Cuz, and so does Faker. Especially a pick like the Silas that benefits from finding the all-ins, finding the messy, extended fights, not a straight-up 5v5, but more fight one person, fight 2 more people, get an ultimate, and keep that going for as long as you can.
Oh, Becca pops! What the heck was that? Oh no, but the Encore is going to connect onto Teddy. He's going to be taken down. Solka answers very nicely, and now Kingen into position. Bowling ball blocked by a minion, which is a little bit unfortunate there for Pioshik, but good answer. As they get support for 80 carry. A little bit more important there as Teddy is massively key for T1's poke battery.
There's an angle for T1, and it's get this Drake and stack 3 Oceans. Get the Ocean. I know we don't know whether there's going to be Oceans yet. I know it's a coin flip, but that's the line.
Is it a coin flip? I mean, hi.
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah. This is not what I want. It's just generally what happens. That was a beautiful Encore, and Teddy unfortunately going to be taken down at the end.
You see the extension also being so incredibly valuable there on the Seraphine, and one of the main reasons why this pick feels so bad to teamfight into, augmented by the amount of healing she provides with Moonstone, the shielding from her W, and all around just the utility that she provides. And T1 fought their way back from an early deficit, so that's something, I guess. But they shouldn't have been in an early deficit, and they still need to keep out-executing their opponents to a point where you just... It's hard. They can do it. We literally just saw them do it, so it's possible. But they need to hit the big poke. They need to find the angles, or Faker needs to find the most insane all-in ever. And I've said that before. That was when Prince killed this DRX. You need to find the most insane all-in ever. And then he Samira'd them at the Baron.
He literally found exactly what you asked him to do, which is 100% the analyst's dream, is Kingen. Only mini-Gnar right now, as Cuz does have the smite, so that is going to be the Infernal Drake lockdown, and as we can see, it is a Cloud Soul. This game...
you had one job.
What? Obviously, if you've been watching throughout this season, my one job is Cloud Souls, okay?
Yeah, but no, that's not the job
we want. So I did my one job.
No, it's not the job we want you to do.
Are you saying that I've been paid for the wrong thing this whole time? Because I've been trying really, really hard to get these Cloud Souls, man. Oh dear.
Have you been ignoring the feedback sessions about Cloud
I
Soul?
just don't check my emails that much, you know?
Come
Like,
on, man.
I'm sorry. I'm too busy thinking about League of Legends.
It makes sense.
And clouds.
Yeah. It's just soaring in the clouds.
Oh, it's so sad that it was just gonna happen, wasn't it?
I want to go in a little bit about why the Mountain Tool is so good. It basically gives you a Seraphine of your own, and it provides T1 with a way to actually have a win condition and drawn out team fights. Because I don't think that the T1 comp with picks like the Rel, the Nidalee, and specifically the Silas really benefit from drawn out fights where you can get multiple engages, re-engages, right? Hop on and off.
Yep.
Teddy can stand in the backline, keep throwing arrows. Like these long, elongated fights in a normal situation, I think you can play really well because you have the front line, you have the tankiness. But the problem in this situation is you're playing against a Seraphine, so it feels to me like that's just not an option as, oh my goodness. Damn,
Extraordinary amount of vision control here that Cuz has been able to put down. As Shirley just gonna disco for a little bit. That was really cool. Are they gonna be able to take it down? They do, denying the charge. And that means that that outer turret is going to remain standing. Actually very important here for T1.
This going on the Cloud Soul, it's happening again.
Yeah, we're doing it.
Oh my!
You really have to release that album,
It was
dude.
Chaos Storm last time.
Yeah,
I
it
think
was
that's still
Disco and
better.
Chaos Storm. There was a bit of that actually.
There was.
DRX last game.
Yeah.
Probably should have mentioned it. It's like, you know, it's free advertising.
It is for the upcoming single by
Yeah.
Atlas. We don't know what kind of music
No,
it's
you
gonna
were
be
gonna
yet, but
you were gonna release it. You're the musical boy. You were in a band.
I mean, we'll have to do it together, okay? I won't feel good stealing that from you. And
I
T1,
can do an ocarina solo.
and there we go. Got it on lockdown. And
Hell yeah.
T1 kind of need to steal this game away from DRX because now we're 20 minutes in. It's dead even. I don't think you can get away with that as T1 team comp, and it's coming off the game we just saw. I'm not going to call this one until the Nexus has fallen.
No, you can't. You straight up can't.
Not allowed.
That's the thing that makes it so difficult, right? T1 just warps these sorts of situations even when the draft says no. They do just have a habit of finding the correct plays to navigate their way through. They shouldn't have to. It shouldn't be this difficult, and it shouldn't be this narrow. However, as Cuz misses a pounce, is going to still get the takedown and will get the leash from Faker to pick up the blue buff. King going to get slowed down there.
Guarantee you, King's damage at the end of the
Ow.
game is going to be great. And he's
I
going
think
to have done
Teddy
a lot.
might be up there as well.
Well, that's actually an interesting thing because it's a lot of flat damage, right? And it looks really good. And the main thing it does is provide pressure, as we see here, because it just gives you freedom to now start sieging. And that's, as you pointed out last game, what a Pokemon wants to do. You just want to throw out your skills and throw and throw and throw. I actually wouldn't mind if Teddy gets a blue buff at some point because he can also.
Oh, he
make
should
great
be.
use
He
of
should
it.
be getting them, but he's needed here to keep throwing out poke. As Cuz is going to get nailed by that bowling ball. That was actually very nicely aimed by Pyoshik. As Chains of Corruption going to be avoided by the Grand Entrance. Very nicely done by Becca. It's been tagged by a few too many of those. As it's a bit of a 4-1 situation, and Faker actually doing some decent work in the side lane here.
And Faker is actually hard to deal with because we already talked about how the Silas is a possible answer to the Seraphine.
Yep.
But it's also really good against the Gnar. Like, the early game is atrocious, so you don't want that matchup. But once you get some AP...
Yeah, in a side lane, it works.
Exactly. You love extended trades. You can actually get on top of Gnar. And a non-conditional Gnar into the wall. Yes, please. I'd
And
take that.
you've taken Conqueror, which is only going to help out with that. And with the Everfrost, I mean, you've just got so many CC options. You're exactly right.
As a 5-stack Dark Soul as well in the inventory of Faker. Cuz just picked his one up. I love it. You know, take the risk. Get the Dark Souls. You need those stacks, boys, because if you don't get the stacks, you don't blow them up. It's going to be a painful one, as we do see the Morellonomicon coming out from Cuz. Considering what they're playing against, I like it. I think a reliable source, although Nidalee is not the greatest, should still be able to get spears and then have it stick a little bit better. I still want to see that Serpent's Fang.
Yeah, me too. Hopefully that's coming next here for Teddy. Certainly a lot of different options that he can go towards, but I think that would 100% be the best one. As we're still just fighting over control of this mid lane, which inherently means fighting over control of this Cloud Drake that is going to be spawning.
Yay, Cloud Drake.
Yay, Chains of Corruption missing. Getting Yellow Pete flashbacks now to when Varus first came out. It's just the most difficult ability to land.
It's not easy. You can get this one up. That's the one upside as T1. Yeah, like, it's Cloud Soul, who cares?
Yep.
We don't mind at all. Because if it's Ocean Soul, this is a do or die situation. You cannot give Ocean
100%
to a
no.
Seraphine comp if you're the Poe comp. In this case, yeah, you know, sure.
Well, Guardian going to help keep Bao safe. As T1 continuing to siege here, actually. Getting a fair bit of work done to this inner turret in the mid lane. Faker holding onto the top side as well. And you can see exactly why. I think this goes back to, and was very beautifully illustrated by the vision score show up between these two junglers. Cuz has been in there just clearing things out exactly where it needs to be cleared out. You can see there's vision on the bottom side for DRX. T1 don't care. They've been playing a top side 4-1, and that's allowing them to consistently deny the enemy jungle and get themselves back into this game. And as you can see, it's about 1,200 the lead now as those two turrets did fall down. And once again, T1 ripping apart the map with better macro against DRX. It does really feel like the story of this series.
He's going Surrealness first. I'm so sad. I was looking forward to, obviously, Surrealness is an amazing item. It's really, really good. It provides you with a lot more
I wasn't going to say
threat.
anything. I just wanted to let him disappoint you for me, because I don't think I needed to say anything.
Really appreciate you giving me that opportunity.
Yeah,
it's nice.
Serpent's Fang has been, I think, disabled in the LCK.
Be the case.
Prove me wrong. As the Baron, once again, going to be taking some damage here. He's taken a lot of abuse, to be perfectly honest, this series. As the train's going to come on forward. The engage from Becca comes out first now, as Canna is actually going to be able to disengage very effectively, but Carrier gets denied his all in. That's a huge encore as Becca going to go down first, but Kingen says, Canna, you can do it. I can do it too. Canna gets into the back line, not quite able to get the work done. Double kill for Pyoshik now, as this is the DRX team fighting comp. Faker now looking for his ability to get in. Does manage to land it. Kingslayer goes down as well, but he's extraordinarily low and will be taken out by Kingen. Cuz and Canna now trying to do what they can. It's closer than it could have been, but Canna should be taken out. The damage threats are now gone for T1. And Solka is just a disgusting heal battery, able to keep everyone alive.
You see the value coming out there in the long fight, even though T1 gets so close, right? Faker does hit that abscond, can actually go in. He wants to look for that crucial blow, but as long as Solka stays alive in these fights, doesn't matter what you do, you're not winning the long run. And what we're seeing here is that it's Becca, who initially has a really nice setup. Due to the ultimate from Sai, you're not actually able to capitalize on that at all. But I want to draw attention to Kingen, because the amount of damage that man finds is insane. As we see the back-to-back encores, look at this.
Just massive.
If he didn't get exhausted, I think the team fight is just over right there and then, and you get the Baron, 100%, that's DRX. Instead, we get this extended skirmish, and this is where Silas kind of wants to be. But the problem to me is, sure, this is where Silas wants to be, but Seraphine doesn't mind it whatsoever either.
Yeah, and she's flashing now, at this point of the team fight. And I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that Faker's ulti got completely sidestepped, right? And then Solka hits two people, two of the ideal people. The other two move into a position where they straight up just get gnawed into oblivion.
And we see that DRX know how to play these little skirmishes, these mechanical moments in the end very well. As Kingen goes in and stays alive no matter what. Carrier.
Yeah, still looking for more as the encore is going to come down just onto Carrier. He has a stopwatch. We'll see whether he can keep himself alive. Doesn't, of course, have his flash available, and the Rel is just going to fall down. The train comes through again as Canna tries to split up this fight, but now Cuz is in trouble. Pyoshik just toying with him in his jungle, and now DRX with 5 members look to move towards the Baron, and jungle is almost dead, right? Cuz cannot actually get back here unless he can primally surge about 100 times.
Yeah, needs to try and heal up. Fortunately, there is the threat of a Mega Nod. There is still a front line, but can Cuz get to the Baron here?
Well, it's not quite 100, so I think I may have exaggerated there. As you can see, the Baron going down to about 2.5. We could just be flipping it here as DRX still on it. And that is going to be secured by Pyoshik. T1 now moving out of the area. Carrier, he's respawned, but there's no way he's getting to any sort of fight. Intelligent for T1 to actually just disengage. And this feels close, right? You look at the top of the screen, but it's starting to feel more and more impossible for T1 against this ridiculous DRX composition.
Solka went for Mikhail's second as well. And that's something we haven't really talked about yet, but that means that what we saw last game happening with Bao needs to happen again here, which is not good. It means that T1, above all odds, needs to find a kill on a target that wants to be engaged on, because that's a free encore, that now has Mikhail's available, in case any other teammates are in trouble. And DRX have now gotten to the point where like, you see like a 2k gold lead, it's way more. This comp is super oppressive when it can just sit, siege up. They don't even need to poke, you're just deathballing your way around the map.
Yeah, and also poke means basically nothing because Seraphine exists, right?
Yes.
And not to mention that, but I mean, Becker also has a few heals available as well.
Oh, Faker.
Now, Faker could look for a potential flank here. He's clearing out all of the vision, but no, wait, T1 are fighting for this one. Just that Cloud Drake is not really worth it. Now 5 minutes until a potential Cloud Soul available for DRX.
Cyril's grudged finish for Teddy here. That's a big spike. That's going to give him a lot more reliable damage. But as you say, I think that it doesn't really matter. The one upside is that T1 has really good wave clear available whenever Teddy is around, and Kanai can tank decently well. However, Faker, not the greatest, but he has some side lane threat, and as we've seen, he's been able to shove out these waves consistently.
Yep.
As long as you can keep the base alive for T1, you can fight another day. And I hate to keep coming back to this, but if I hadn't just seen last game, I would say this one is very close to over, just through the sheer power.
Yeah. I think if the nameplates were off, and you were looking at these drafts and the position in the game that they are, you'd say that there is no chance DRX lose.
Agreed.
But sometimes you just have to change how you think about the game. And T1 recently have certainly been trying to force that. Bowling ball connects onto Canna. Now T1 looking for that wraparound. DRX not going to give them their engage opportunity. And the slower DRX play this, the smarter they are, as Bao is going to be tagged by that Q. Spear just pops in! What the hell was that? What? Okay, I guess that, I mean, maybe that's how you win. That's the counter siege. Do you know what you do? You one-shot people with your spears.
It's
what?
Bao as well. He has everything up. I think no one expected that. Oh, T1 is going to win this game, and they're going to learn nothing, Atlas.
Oh, it's so scary, isn't it, right? Like, if you're going to try and reinforce that this was the comp you go for, oh, it just feels terrible, doesn't it? It's like you're a teacher and one of your students has like figured out a different way to solve a maths equation. However, that working out pattern is never gonna do it in the future, and you feel like you're teaching him wrong, but you can't tell him he's wrong, right? Because he solved the equation and then he keeps doing it again and again, and somehow, by some fluke, it just keeps working, but you know eventually it ain't going to. I just don't know when it's not going to if Cuz does stuff like this. Oh my goodness.
Look at that health bar. It's again, I said this jokingly, where I'm like, you know, if you blow him up in one go, it doesn't matter that you have healing.
Yeah.
But then it actually happens. Okay.
Can't heal if you're dead, forehead, I guess. Like, I don't know.
The downside of this is that while we're having a lot of that is understandably.
Yeah.
While we're having a laugh at that, what does it actually do? And the answer is the tier 1 of the Baron gets neutralized, which is really nice. But also that's it. Nothing else of virtue or value rather was really gained here by T1, and it means that we are looking yet again in a situation where DRX can just chill and scale up. Now we see the Moon Stuff combination actually finished. 3 items available for Bao here. Kingin, who's been playing like a madman on the Gnar, getting closer to his next item as well. And honestly, as DRX, as long as you deathball and you don't have your people nuked out of orbit from nowhere, you should be fine. And I think that a DRX at the start of the split, and I really want to make this case, would have gone for an engage there. Because I think the problem here is they give time to T1. But DRX is a team that had confidence and then lost it. And then regaining that confidence is a hard one, but you need to. You have the hard engage, you have a Rakan, you have a Gnar, you have an Encore to kind of augment those two forms of backline dive / hard engage. And if you don't go for that, we giggle, but that is actually a problem. Like, you can't let your carries get blown up like that because it takes away all your pressure on the map.
Can we have a look at the vision score here between Kuz and Kyoshik, by the way?
Yeah.
Is that a typo? No. That's insanity.
Yeah. Is this the first time we're going to see a Flame Horizon?
This is a vision score Flame Horizon.
Oh my god. The technology is finally here, Atlas.
It's ludicrous. And I mean, back in the day, Flame would be like, what does that even mean, guys?
What awards? I don't need those. I'll play 1v2. as the way.
Yeah, but it is pretty impressive, and as you can see, the map is extraordinarily dark for a DRX that have a gold lead, right? As Bao almost dies again. Every time these spears come through, man,
Yeah.
it's like, well, someone could die. That melee minion, he's fine. Don't worry, he can tank one. As T1, look at how dark this is. They've started the Baron already. I mean, it's not the fastest of Barons necessarily, as Teddy does finally get on over. But yeah, like, how do you even get here?
But it might trade for soul.
Well, let's see whether Canna can actually stop them from getting on in. This Baron is just dead. And now they have to try and get out of the area. The sleep comes through. There's the grand entrance as Canna tries to help him. Another spear going to find a victim as the Scion's taken down. Faker also dies very early, and now Teddy is by himself. He'll be taken out, and now T1 need to try and save the Barons. This is going to be Cloud Soul, but as someone with a fair bit of Cloud Soul experience, it's not exactly the highest of value for winning these games. But still, T1, they steal a Baron, they lose 3. And now DRX are looking to try and push this one down. Because the spears are terrifying, if they avoid them, things should be all right.
Pick up this free turret, then move towards the Drake. I would rather they don't try and push it. Are they trying to look for an end or just for the inhibitor? Inhibitor would make sense, hopefully not greeding beyond that. As you should be able to pick up both. Now, however, a possible teleport angle is available for T1. I like the inhibitor, but it's the mid lane inhibitor which is the least relevant. As Kana is on zoning duty, you give him up every single time.
Did it? It did. It connected onto Faker.
And that's why he dies.
That's actually pretty ridiculous.
And then we get the follow-up, the chain CC, Cuz gets a very nice last little play as Teddy might be fine here, not with Pioshik also jumping over the wall, unfortunately for him.
Varus played that absolutely immaculately.
Yeah, it was really, really good. And this is coming from a player who's been super inconsistent throughout the second half of the split. First half, not nearly the case. Clouds are now available for DRX, and I think...
Oh my goodness, it happened.
Huh?
It's in the game. Yeah. I thought it wasn't on the Korean client, but it's there.
Serpent's Fang?
Yes!
In our games?
What?
Oh my god.
I could have sworn. Well, Teddy's got it now. Let's see whether it's going to be the difference maker. He, of course, still needs to be able to land his abilities, but it's going to be very, very helpful.
I thought you were doing a bit about Cloud Soul, that you were being like ironic about how the technology is there, Cloud Soul's there. We've not seen that before.
Oh no, don't worry, I've got a bit of experience on that one.
I mean, that's why I thought it was a joke. And as T1, the possibility of an out execute is still there, but his Baron buff is not going to do anything for you. It's a minus 800 gold Baron power play. You've lost the Drake. And I think your only angle now is hold on for dear life and then get Elder and win the game.
Yeah, I mean, we are getting to that point 36 minutes into the game where if you just miraculously win a team fight, the game is yours, right? And miracles have been happening, right? Bao gets hit by 2 skill shots and dies. That gets more and more impactful as the game goes on.
What if T1 was DRX all along and they need the miracle win now?
Oh my goodness. I don't even know. Faker's split pushing very nicely though, as you can see. He doesn't even have a Baron, but it is just a little bit too scary here as that's kind of getting snared up. Now Kingen looking for a little bit, but that tower already falls and Sulker is getting chunked down. Faker, Kingslayering on top of Kingen here as the quickness is stolen away. He gets gnawed into the wall. Faker can still go golden, but he just doesn't. Oh no! Caught in the side lane, does manage to get the turret, but now T1 lose all of their pressure. And DRX looking to try and close this one in as I believe another spear just landed there as Kingen Strybreakering his way through. The train is going to get Canna out of this one as Cuz great sidestep on the bowling ball. Anyone just trying to disengage as best they can. Thankfully Chem tank does exist. And Canna will be able to get out with that one. T1 actually kiting back quite nicely here with all their spears and arrows. But they go all the way back as somehow that spear missed.
And I was a little bit worried for a second there. If Becca goes in and actually finds someone, then you can just end the game outright. Instead, Faker will be up in about 14 seconds. A teleport flank isn't really available here.
When these piercing arrows hit, man, like this is where it's dangerous. And Kingen says no, Teddy! Immediately, QSS Flash to get himself out. The Encore is good, but Canna is tanking everything. Still, it is going to most likely be the end of his life. No, he gets himself the shield and just takes the train to safety. turret not going to be so lucky, though, as the second inhibitor turret falls. And when it comes to just ridiculous late-game drafts, I don't know how, but it's just so difficult for DRX, regardless of the fact that it looks like they have such a draft advantage.
It's not even T1's final form. Imagine if they do have a late game draft. It's what everyone has got to be.
It's too scary.
What everyone has got to be asking themselves here, as it's Kingen yet again, who's just been such an amazing force of consistency for DRX throughout the entirety of the split. Faker tries to go for a quickness play, because if you can get the taunt on Kingen, then you can at least get out of there. But instead,
it was too strong.
Not working out. Cleanse forced there, or McKill's rather, which is fine. But the fact that both Teddy and Kana stay alive through this is insane. However, Flash is now gone, and that's actually a really big one, because no Flash on Varus means that any of those Encores being aimed correctly now, with the amount of engagement frontline you have, should definitely be a possibility. It still feels like T1 holding on by a thread. It's just that this comes after game one, so everything that I say feels warped, because it was not as bad as this one, I personally argue. I think last game was a lot more redeemable, where you did have something like the Victor. Instead, here you have an actual monstrosity in the form of Seraphine on the other end that is just a full-on raid boss. There are a lot of Rabadons being finished now here, though, and T1, they're not giving up. There's no inhibitors down. They can contest this Baron.
Yeah, Cuz does insane damage. It's okay. That is the cleanse having to be used, or the QSS, sorry. Onto Teddy as Kingen only finds one with the ultimate, and now you've got Canna finding that backline. Teddy pretty much zoned away from this one, though. It's Bao just fighting this one front to back, and Kingen is deciding on his way of taking this victory. Solka gonna have to walk on back as Teddy finds a few autos, a few piercing arrows, but as you can see, DRX take control of the area. They take their pick, and they get all of the heals as well.
Look at those health, boss Atlas. You might think it as a cloud, or an ocean soul rather in this game. Absolutely not. There's just Seraphine coming into full force. Not ultimate available for Faker. This needs to be a hero play that I've ever seen. Otherwise, you're not going to make it here.
I've seen this from Faker before. We've all seen this from Faker before, but this is in a 4v5 with this level of compositional gap. And that is going to be the Baron secured for DRX. And they are moving towards an actually notable gold advantage, but only at 41 minutes into this one. 10 seconds on the Elder.
That's game. If you get Elder, that's just it. There's no way you get away from that. Never, ever, ever. Kana doesn't have teleport available. DRX can maybe rush this.
Well, they're looking for it. Kana can turn into a train and try and get himself here, but then he won't have that ultimate for the ensuing fight. T1 need to desperately find some way of buying time. Kingen looking to deny. The Chains of Corruption do connect, and now the train is drifting forward, but misses, actually crashes a little bit too early there. But T1 do have control of this area. Can they steal away the Elder Drake? It just goes down to Bao. Picks up the double. Faker's already dead. Becca steals the last one. DRX will win game 2. And I thought this was a pretty comfy way to get a 3-0 for T1. But DRX have done it. They found the draft. They found the final team fight. And despite it not necessarily looking convincing, in the end it will be DRX tying up the series.
And in game number 1 you get away with it, Atlas. And in game number 2 you get appropriately punished.
Absolutely.
Seraphine makes it through the draft, and DRX show why this team is in the playoffs in the first place. Yes, we did not see this DRX for the second round. Sure thing. But when it comes to playoffs,